Okay, we're going to tie a sulphur dun with a biot body. This is kind of a conglomeration of 2 or 3 different styles of flies that I've put together that seems to work really well for me all summer long. Start the thread in the middle of the hook, wind halfway to the eye and then back, and that gives you your post placement, and then wind to the rear of the hook and make one wrap as a bump there, and grab some tailing fibers like these whiting tailing pack feathers that are cream colored at the end. Get 3 or 4 of them, measure them against the shank for length, and here, let me get my bobbin up so you can see that I spin it here so that the thread will come back against my thumb and forefinger. Let me get my single wrap here in the back in place. Okay, so bring this up, spin my bobbin so the thread will curl to the rear against my thumb and forefinger. Measure this, make one wrap, second wrap brings it up on top, and you can see how that one wrap really kicks that tail fiber material up. So I'm going to use Orange Parapost for the post on this, and I do that because it's treated with a permanent floatant, and the hot orange Parapost and the rust colored thread seem to be just the right color for the thorax of this fly. Before I do that though, let me get a biot here. This is a Sulphur biot, turkey biot. I fold these biots back, grab one of them and rip it off, and you can see when you rip them off there's a notch here and a translucent edge. If the knots and the translucent edge are to the front when you tie that on, you'll get a ribbed body. So I've got my parapost. I've separated the strand so that I've only got half the thickness, and I've trapped the parapost on at my tie-in point. I'm wrapping up the post about 6 or 8 wraps, and then back down, standing that post up. Trim this up a little bit, and I'll build an underbody. If it was a larger fly, I would use dubbing to build an underbody, but in this case where it's only a size 18, I'll just use thread. I'll get that biot. I'll put the translucent edge towards the front, the ribbed edge towards the rear, or the notch towards the front, whichever way you want to look at that, and start wrapping. Get that in my hackle pliers and make one wrap, and see where the thread is. It's on the translucent part of the biot, and I'm holding the thread and the biot in my hand and wrapping at the same time. Now I'm doing one wrap here at the end. It's kind of an extra wrap, but I wanted to show you can pass the thread over by hand as opposed to wrapping the thread and biot at the same time. But wrapping the two together is certainly quicker, and I can't say that it's any stronger, but it definitely, I think, is quicker. So here's a size 18 hackle. This is a saddle hackle, whiting saddle out of the 100 packs. I stripped some bare quill stem, trap that in front, wrap up to the top and down, and leave my thread hanging in back of the wing. This is some of the parapost, and I cut that into small pieces and build a pile of it so I can use it for dubbing like this. And I dub some on, fairly sparse. I want this rust colored thread to show through. And dub the thorax area. Tighten that up a little bit. And again, leave the thread in back of the parapost. Get rid of some of that extra stuff and wrap this hackle down the post. Normally would do 3 to 5 wraps. Where this is only a size 18, I'm only going to do 3 wraps. There's one, the second one, and the third. And then with my thread hanging down and back, I bring it up and stay underneath the hackle wraps, but over the hackle stem. Make one wrap and then one wrap under the hackle stem. And then tie my whip finish knot under the hackle fibers but above the hackle stem. 3 wraps. Get that to release, get that post out of the way. And trim that hackle off. And certainly I could have put a drop of gel super glue down there at the bottom and wrapped down and wrapped into that super glue, and that's a great way to do parachutes. But if you don't happen to have any super glue around, wrapping the knot at the bottom of the parapost is a pretty good way to go. So trim that off, and we'll take a look at this. Get some of that extraneous stuff out of the way. And there it is. There's a Sulphur done with a biot body tied using rotary fly tying techniques.